There we go. And I'm looking for the family of controls. I think this is it right here. It's a really good site. It breaks everything down, has the most current ones because they've been changing these quite a bit in the last couple years as they've transitioned from 853 Rev 4 to Rev 5. There's like hundreds of controls, and so that's what Devron is referring to. And he's wanting to know, do you have to know these controls verbatim? And here's the control families right here. There's about 20 of them. Right. And I can just give you a couple examples. AT awareness. Does your organization train for security awareness? Right. Do you have records for it? What do you have going on? So when you click into this, these are the controls that your organization is supposed to meet. So for example, you have to have a policy that explains what's going on. Here's how our organization trains. We train annually. We train semi-annually. Whatever, right? You're supposed to make sure, and then AT2 is literacy training. Like, are you actually doing the training? If an assessor goes to your organization, can they just randomly walk up to someone and say, hey, have you done this training before? Right? The answer should be yes, I did it 3 weeks ago, I think. We did a phishing awareness, suspicious email training. They do these like every 3 months or so, right? Do you have role-based training? Like this is specifically for like if you're in the role of a privileged user, you're in the role of a system admin, you're a domain system admin, whatever the case may be. Do you have training specifically for that? Do you have training records? Right? So these are security controls. They're not all super technical. Like your super technical ones would be probably IA controls. That's identification and authentication controls. That's your multi-factor authentication. That's making sure that you have identifier management, you have authentication, the authenticator management, you have proper cryptographic modules that are in place protecting your keys. So you have very technical controls and you have very operational controls. There's hundreds of these. Let me show you why there's hundreds. Because if you go deeper, you'll see that this IA4 breaks out even further. You've got IA41, 42, 43, 45, 46, all the way up to what, 49? And some of them go higher than that. So you literally have hundreds of controls. The question that Devron's asking is how important is it to know all? Do you need to know all the controls? The answer is no. Like you should have an idea of the families. I don't know. I've been doing this for 20 years. They've changed these like 4 or 5 times since I've been doing it. They've changed this many, many times. These things change every few years. They add things, they subtract things. It's basically trying to keep up with technology, right? So you're going to have things like cloud technology is eventually at some point going to have its own control if it doesn't already. I don't even know. See, I don't even know if it has its own security control. I know that FedRAMP has some controls that kind of focus in on stuff like cloud technologies. But eventually, you're going to have stuff for blockchain. So they'll add stuff there too. The answer is no. You don't have to know all these. What I would encourage you to know, though, is the families. You should have some idea of the families. Like there's 20 of these. So that if you're happen to be in a meeting and somebody says, hey, where's SA2 at, right? And you should know, okay, SA2 has to do with, that's like system and services acquisition, right? I have an idea what that's all about, the whole family. I would know the families at least, right? Even if you don't deal with them day to day, I would at least have some idea of the families. If somebody says SI controls, I have some idea of what that one is, right? Even if off the top of my head, some of them I know them, like I'd use them so often, I know them off the top of my head. Right, I have an idea of where it is and stuff. But no, you don't have to know all these verbatim. There's literally hundreds of them. They evolve from time to time. I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't know them off the top of my head. Sometimes there'll be one I was really familiar with. They withdrew it and they replaced it and merged it with some other one or something. So no, you don't have to know them verbatim. And it says, or is it important to understand how to meet the controls? It's more important to be able to interpret the controls. When you go here to this page, or if you go to NIST 853, it's what you're going to have to do. Sometimes what I'll have to do is, let me just give you an example. I'll go to, let's say, IR controls. That's incident response, right? I have some idea of how this is supposed to work. But if they say, look, we had an audit, we had an assessment, and they're saying that we're not meeting, let's say IR 5. And I'll be like, IR 5, man, what is that, right? I know that's incident response, but what is it? I'll refer to the 853. I'll either go to this site, I'll download 53, or I'll bring it up from my desktop, and I'll read it. I'll be like, okay, I remember now. Okay, I've done this one before, right? I've done this before. I remember this. It's incident monitoring. Track incidents and collect and analyze. So it's more important to understand and interpret this because that's what they're really paying you for. To be honest with you, to read this stuff, sometimes it just sounds like nonsense. The way they talk in these things, unfortunately, it's almost like lawyer speak or something. And that's very confusing. So that said, sometimes you have to read it. I have to read this stuff 2 or 3 times to understand. I'm like, okay, how does the organization meet this? So my job as an ISSO is to interpret it to see how effective the organization is implementing that particular control, if they're doing it at all, right? And then I have to have the guts to go to them and say, we're not doing this one. And here's why I believe we're not doing it, right? Or go to my peers and say, hey, I don't think we're doing IR5. I don't think we're doing it. And they'll be like, yeah, we are. We're doing IR5. IR5 is incident response, right? No, we're doing incident response, but I don't know that we're monitoring. And here's why. Here's my interpretation of this, right? You go to your peers, you bounce the ideas off of them if you have peers in here, and hopefully you do. But if you don't, sometimes it's up to you to say, you got to go to the managers. You got to go to the C-level execs and say, I don't think we're, you don't have to stress yourself out about it. You're just letting them know in an email so that when they get dinged for it or lose their certification, and they're coming to you talking about, hey, why didn't you tell us about IR5? You're like, I did last year, and here's the email. Remember I sent this to you guys? I said, we're not doing it. And that was my interpretation. Yeah, it's documented. So, yeah, the most important thing is not to know all the security controls. You just need to know how to interpret them, right? And it's all here. Sometimes you got to read it 2 or 3 times. The way that it's like lawyer speak or something. So, and sometimes what I'll do is this. If I can't interpret it here, let me show you a little trick. So let's say I go to the site, and this is pulling directly from 53, right? And I'm like, man, this is kind of thin. This is not really explaining enough for me. This document the incident, monitor records. Okay, all right. I'm not fully understanding this, right? Let me show you my screen. You're not seeing my screen right now. You go to NIST 853. That's one good reference. I'll bring my screen up in a second. Bear with me. And then you can go to NIST 800. So what I'll do is use several different sources to figure it out, right? If 853 is not explaining it well enough, here's a really good sources here. Hold on a second. So let's say you went to 800, you went to this site here, and you're like, it says, okay, incident monitoring, track incidents, collect and analyze incidents. Okay, is this it? That seems kind of thin. Like, is this all we do? We just got to make sure we're tracking each incident and we're collecting it. That means documentation. Could you give me more? It's automated. Okay, discussion. Automated mechanism for tracking incidents. All right, so we're supposed to have some method, some kind of automated system that tracks this. And do they mean like I need more information? Because what we have is, say we have ServiceNow takes the tickets. When incident happens, we put it into ServiceNow. That automatically goes out to the incident response team. That's how we track it, right? Are we meeting the spirit of this control? Are we doing it? I don't know. Okay, so what you can do is you go to 853, right, and download the actual 853. Because a lot of times 853 will have more information for you. This actually should be your first source, to be honest with you. 853 it's a catalog of all the security controls. It's very exhaustive. You're not going to read this cover to cover, right? You're going to use it as a reference. Incident response. Okay, here, check this out. So incident response, boom, IR1, and then I'll go down to IR5, right? IR5 should have more information, hopefully, on this particular finding. Look at this. It has a little bit more, has references. It's really the same stuff. But it has some more references I could use. It pretty much says the same thing here, automated collection. No further information though, right? But it has these other references. If I want, I can go here. Another place you can go is 812. I notice a lot of people don't talk about this one. But this right here is it's like a very simple breakdown of security. It's just an introduction of information security. So if I wanted to know incident response, boom, incident response. This has a very high level view of what's expected of incident response. And you can see it actually hints at another place to go, 861, which is Computer Security Incident Handling Guide. Boom. So that tells you even more information. This is how I research these controls. This is how I do it. I just showed you exactly my thought process of how I actually do this. I don't know them all off the top of my head. I don't. They change a lot. There's hundreds of them. The way that they write it is not like common. It's not layman's terms. It's a lot of cross-reference speak. You know, you could tell some PhD wrote it or something. But the thing is, I'm not talking to PhDs when I go into a meeting. I'm talking to the system administrator guy who doesn't know the psychobabble cybersecurity PhD speak that these guys use in this book. You know, so I have to talk at their level. I have to talk to them. I have to talk to the managers who aren't speaking like these guys. I have to explain it in layman's terms. If I'm talking to the C-level exec, it's the same thing. I have to explain it to them in their language, which means I have to be able to interpret it for them. That's the most important thing being an ISSO when you're dealing with security controls. You're interpreting the controls and seeing if your organization meets the spirit of those controls. That's what you're doing. All right. I hope that answers your question. I'm going to go to the next question here.